It's true that we live in a digital age. It also would be more accurate to say that we live in an algorithmically curated area that is a period when many of our choices and perceptions are shaped by machine learning algorithms that nudge us in directions favored by those who employ the programmers who write the necessary code. A good way of describing them would be as recommender engines. They monitor your digital trail and they keep note of what interests you the most, as evidenced by what you browsed or purchased online. Amazon, for example, regularly offers PayPal suggestions for items that are based on your browsing history. It also shows you a list of what people who purchased the item I'm considering also brought. YouTube engines are basically known for this too. YouTube's engine notes what kind of videos that we've watched and logs how much each of us have watched before clicking onwards, and then it presents on the right hand side of the screen an endlessly scrolling list of videos that might interest us based on what we've watched. In the early days of the web, few if any of these engines ever existed, but from 2001 onwards they became increasingly common and now are almost ubiquitous. Several factors drove this expansion. One was the need to help users cope with the information overload that came with this web. Recommender engines could sift through the torrent and create a personalized distillation just for you. But the prime driving force was the business model we now call surveillance capitalism. Log in our online behavior in order to make increasingly refined predictions about our preferences and likely needs that could be sold to advertisers anxious to sell us stuff. When social media started, each user's newsfeeds consisted of a simple chronological listing of what their friends had posted. In September of 2011, on Facebook, all that changed. From then onwards, users' newsfeeds were curated by machine learning algorithm. Mark Tonkolowitz, an engineering manager for Facebook at the time, described the curated newsfeed thus: when you pick up a newspaper after not reading it for a week, the front page quickly clues you into the most interesting stories. In the past, newsfeeds hasn't worked well like that. Updates slid down in chronological order, so it's tough to zero in on what matters most. Now the newsfeeds will act more like your own personalized newspaper. You won't have to worry about missing important stuff. All your news will be in a single stream, with the most interesting stories featured at the top of the list. It turned out that some of those interesting stories were of great commercial interest to Facebook because they encourage users to engage with the updated content, and therefore prioritized it. Since 2016, we've become increasingly aware of how this algorithmic curation can be used to induce us to buy not just goods and services, but ideas, and disinformation, conspiracy theories, and hoaxes as well. In the past, Amazon has been accused of being a giant purveyor of medical quackery. For years, people finally imagined that curation of ideas was the business only of social media. But an article last year by Renee DiResta, a leading expert in online misinformation, suggested that the phenomenon goes way beyond Facebook, etc. Scrolling through a simple keyword search for like vaccine in Amazon's top level books section, she found anti-vax literature prominently marked as #1 bestseller in categories ranging from emergency pediatrics to history of medicine and to chemistry. The first pro-vaccine book appears 12th in the list. It's bluntly named "Vaccines Did Not Cause Rachel's Autism." It's the only pro-vaccine book on the first page of any search results. Over in Amazon's oncology category, DiResta found a book with a bestseller label touting juice as an alternative to chemotherapy. For the term cancer overall, she noted that The Truth About Cancer, a hodgepodge of claims about, among other things, government conspiracies, had 1,684 reviews, and 96 of them were 5-star ones, and was given a front-page placement just out of interest. This week, people searched in the book sections on Amazon.com for Cancer Cure. Of the first 11 available titles that came up, only one looked like a conventional scientific treatment of the topic. The others focused on herbs, oils, and natural cures they don't want you to know about. This is not because Amazon has a grudge against scientific medicine, but because there is something about unconventional books in this area that its machine learning algorithm is detecting. Perhaps from reviews posted by even evangelists for non-scientific approaches, the rest have thought that this may indeed be the explanation. Amazon did not confirm this, but it's conceivable that in any real controversy and currently topical areas such as vaccination, coordinated user reviews by anti-vaxxers might successfully game the algorithm. And in the past, Amazon has been accused of being a giant purveyor of all medical crockery. What it really means, though, is I guess is that the online word information warfare is now what they call ubiquitous. And since books are really just containers for information and ideas, it was predictable that marketplaces such as Amazon will become targets for manipulation. Truth is always the first casualty in a war. So yeah, so if you like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, Random Mike, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out, and thanks for listening.